Welcome to YOUCANIC. In this video we are wrapping a quarter panel. This is the second quarter panel that I am personally doing and wrapping. I found so far, doing like fenders was relatively easy. Doors also are pretty easy. Quarter panel is a little bit, this is an SUV, so it's a little bit more challenging because you got a lot of curves and you got to do quite a bit of stretching. So what I did, and on the other side, I started at the top and I went down. Here what I'm doing is I'm starting in the center, so I set this right here. I have pulled down the paper on the back, set that right there, really good. And what I'm going to do is I am going to work towards the top and I'm going to work towards the bottom. So that should go a little bit smoother. It's not horrible. It's not the most difficult wrap that you'll do, but you have to be patient with the quarter panels. They do have a lot of curves. Typically cars, sedan will be a little bit easier than an SUV, so keep that in mind too. So I'm gonna get a little bit closer up and get going. So here I'm gonna work from the middle up, pull the paper on the back, and so here we're gonna pull this, and I know you could pull this multiple times, but I avoid to do that. I want to pull the vinyl off the car as few times as possible, because what will happen is dirt does get on the vinyl on the back on the sticky side, and it doesn't stick quite as well. So you're gonna make sure you push out all the air bubbles, so you do need to put some pressure on this. When you use the squeeze, make sure you're using the soft side, otherwise you use the other end, you're gonna scratch the vinyl. You're gonna cause some damage. Here we have quite a bit of a curve on that quarter panel, and there's some air stuck in there, so I'm sure we can push that off. I do find that it's a lot easier to control it with your fingers, and I think part of it is just because as you get used to and familiar with laying the wrap, you can go faster with this tool. And that's the difference between somebody who's doing this kind of like for the first time and somebody who has done a ton of these, is they can go a lot faster, but you don't want to go fast if you're just starting out, so keep that in mind. You gotta be patient, and that's the main difference between you and somebody else doing this. So right here, we have a lot of tension on that piece, but as I push this over, it's gonna be nice because the tension is gonna be on the other side, and this vinyl is never gonna wanna come off. Alright, that's gonna be really nice. Have a few wrinkles here from bending the vinyl earlier, so I gotta straighten that. Alright, so I want to make sure that we check for any air bubbles. You shouldn't have any. We do have some here, but right here is the tail light, so it's easy. And pull it a little bit here. Make that shape. It's actually, this one a lot smoother than the other side. So yeah, I would strongly recommend set it right in the middle, work half, and then work the other half. You start here, and then you're gonna lay these down, and this vinyl is just gonna do all kind of crazy things, tension everywhere. Right here, you're kind of minimizing that. I'm running this over just to make sure that I'm getting any air bubbles out. There's Alright, that one great. I think that was quick. Of course we gotta cut it, but I wanna lay the rest of it and then we'll cut it. Pull a little bit because it's just sticking there, not quite right. So I have an air bubble right there. Get out. And also I got a bunch of wrinkles from moving around, so I'm gonna get rid of those as well. You gotta pay attention. You don't wanna extremely overheat. So look as you heat it. You just look at the lines or whatever you're trying to get rid of. That's why when you cut the vinyl, try not to cut it much bigger than what you need, because it's harder for you to manage to pull. You're so far away. And it's harder to control the vinyl when you're working when you have such a big piece. About the cap here because we can put another piece on that. Don't worry about this. A little bit of excessive right there. So it's gonna be a little bit of a challenge here. Work more this way, and then I'm gonna come back and work this piece right here. Because what I can do is I can pull down and stretch that a little bit. Excessive right there, so what I'm gonna have to do is pull a little bit here and then pull, stretch down right here. Trying to do is get a nice flat surface right past this. When I cut this, I can pull this up a little bit and get rid of these wrinkles right here. Be able to continue with a nice smooth spot. Turning out to be pretty tricky, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this piece right here so that I have room to control this, because it's just way too much right now. It's too far away. I can't really pull it a whole lot, so I'm going to do that. And we can really be able to stretch that quite a bit. I really don't like how we turn out here, a lot of wrinkles, so I'm pulling this back. I'm going to put this up. I'm going to stretch that as much as I can. Just try to lay it flat. Able to protective film because I can stretch it a lot better without it. But the thing about taking this off is that you have to be really extremely careful, otherwise you're gonna damage the vinyl. Now we gotta do this end. Go down there. Now we have a little bit of excessive right here. You can see that bulging out, so we have to stretch this down to get rid of that excessive. So now pull here a little bit. Don't want to undo too much of that. So tricky right here because I know it's trying to fold. It's trying to wrinkle right there. And once I get this into a straight line, this will be it's gonna move a lot smoother. this up right here, and I'm gonna stretch this down, and it'll create these wrinkles. An air bubble right there, but we can push it out. Since we don't have protective film, I'm just using my hands here. I don't want to damage the vinyl. But you do want to put quite a bit of force. If you're just using your finger, you really want to really push that down, get any air out. Now, what I'm doing right here, this is taking longer, but if you're doing it for the first few times, you are going to take longer time. The finish, the quality is as good as a professional. Professional probably do this and half the time that I'm taking, or even faster, but I mean, it doesn't matter. A lot of times you're just doing this because you enjoy it, and you can have a perfect looking wrap job and you can do it yourself. The only thing is just gonna take longer. And that's it. Alright, so what I have to do now is finish that, and this piece shouldn't be too bad because it should go, even though it's curved, it's a small stretch and it's really easy to control, and yeah, it shouldn't be a problem. Now, in some places like this, with another thing you could do is you can make cuts right here and just kind of relieve the tension. If you got too much, like if I had too much tension right here, but if you cut it short, then it's not really that necessary. Finish this right here. Just going from the center, pushing any air out. Okay, that's it. I have the paper. I avoid taking all the paper off because, and then just leaving it off, because then these pieces, if it moves around and it gets dirt where it shouldn't, then it's just not gonna hold as well. So I just leave the paper whenever I can. A few wrinkles in here. Cut the edges a little bit, make it a little bit easier, but pull this straight. And run my finger right through the center. And then what I'll do is I'll come back and get rid of this since it was in here. In case we got a little bit too much, so I can cut. It's release the stress from this piece right here, and it makes it easy to control. Pull it from the bottom. Like I said earlier, I just avoid doing that as much as I can. I'm going to pull just a little bit here. Can. And then I'm going to stretch out. And hopefully get rid of this. Now I'm going to heat it and then pull on forward and then lay it. And I could have pulled it all the way from the bottom and we've done that. I just don't like doing that. Here we're doing this gas cap door, and what I'm going to do is, you can see this is the gap between the door and the body panel. I'm going to cut close to the cap and then fold this inside, and I can do another piece for the cap to fold it over if I want to, but I'm more worried about this piece right here. Now, a lot of times though, you could take this door off if you like, if you want to do this separately. There are 2 bolts on the back here, typically, and that comes right off. So this I'm just going to redo. I want to fold this over here a little bit instead of leaving it just like that. But this is pretty simple, small piece, stretch over, then cut, and that's it. So this shouldn't be a problem. Or a challenge, I should say. The only thing here is you want to make sure you don't want to cut over that. So you can just do it open and just be careful on this side right here. I could put this on there and then cut it right here off of this line. I'm nervous. I'm afraid I'm going to cut this piece, so I'm just going to do it over here. Center first, and I'm pulling towards the top. Get any air bubbles out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a few lines along here, because what's happening on the back, it just wants to fold over. So I'm going to make cuts like that. Take this film off. It just makes it a lot harder to stretch over here. And you can stretch it, but not quite as much. So. I really need to stretch this now. Okay. It's looking really nice over here, and all I'm gonna do next is just cut on this side and then make sure I'm running it over with a heat gun one more time. And yeah, that should hold really good. And on that side, I only left a little bit, so I don't even have to cut. I can just fold that back. I don't have to do a whole lot over there. But that's it. I have to come back here. I'm gonna cut that piece off and then just run it over with a heat gun one more time. Make sure we have good. Let's see if I can do this over here. Never keep your hands in the direction of the knife. is going, or any body parts or somebody else's body parts, because that will slide. If you look carefully, we got a spot right here. Let's not stretch very much. I'm gonna heat that up and then pull. And over here, it looked like little pockets. I mean, you can just hit that and kind of run your finger over it. I'm being a little bit too picky here, though. And that's it. I'm just gonna cut these little pieces right here, and we're done. All we have to do next is cut the excessive from the quarter panel itself. But this right here looks great. And then, depending how picky you are, this job can take a really long time. But the good thing is that you can do a job that you're so proud about. So if you got the time, you can wrap it. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna cut this edge right here. I know some people like to wrap all the way to that. I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna cut here and just gonna leave it like that. So we're gonna do just this end, and then everything else is just kind of the same way. Over here there's a piece, the trim in this case, it's just the thing for that to come off, but we can just cut right there and then push the vinyl in. That's it. So let's just do this edge and see how that looks. Alright, so first I'm gonna push that in like so. Here we have a curve, it's almost a 90 degree. I'm gonna go right on there and try to make a straight line. Heat that up and just make sure that's getting a good bond. I just like to do a little bit, a few inches at a time, and then put pressure on it. That's it. Now we're gonna do the same thing for the rest of the edges, but it's looking perfect. Couldn't be more happy with it. Sure, it's taking a little bit of time. It's taking longer than what it would take somebody who's done a lot of these, but for the second quarter panel, I'm very happy with it. And you can do it too. Thank you for watching.